half for Durant. Third quarter, Brooklyn up 20, by the way. Durant catch and shoot from three, looking awfully smooth. Now under 8 minutes to go in the third in transition. Just keep an eye on Durant. He's looking for the ball. Kyrie's going to get it to him, and Durant's going to remind everybody he's got range for days. 17 points, 5 for 5 from the floor, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. Nets win huge, and KD is back.
I expected to come out here and play the way I played. I wasn't trying to ease into the game. I just wanted to go out there and dive right into the action. Whatever coach throws at me, I got to be prepared for, and I'm sure he's going to try to toss some curveballs at me and see how I handle it, and I'm looking forward to it.
He dove right in, no question. And Durant played just 19 minutes, but his impact was obvious. The Nets outscored the Pelicans by 22 when he was on the floor, shot nearly 20% better from the floor when he was out there. Pretty impressive for a player after missing his first game in
Let's not forget how impressive he was prior to the hamstring injury in mid-February. His jump shot, one of the best in the game. This season, no exception. According to Second Spectrum, Durant shooting 49% on jumpers. That's fourth best in the NBA among players with at least 200 attempts. And in the final frame, the fourth quarter, that figure jumps all the way to 59%, which leads the league. After the long layoff, it's certainly going to be interesting, though, see how physical he is, how he does on drives, because another key aspect of his offensive prowess, if you will, is the ability to drive. This season, only 2 players have averaged a better efficiency on drives than Durant. That's Giannis and LeBron. As we say hello to Stephen A. Smith, we're getting ready for SportsCenter with Stephen A. at the top of the hour, 7 o'clock here on ESPN. Stephen A., how concerned are you about the Big Three in Brooklyn only having played 7 games together?
You've got to pay attention to it from the standpoint that the question about their durability. Who's going to go down next, whether it's KD or Harden, even though Harden really doesn't miss much games, so I really shouldn't say that about him. It's really about KD and whether or not that leg and that Achilles can hold up. We know what he can do when he's healthy. He's one of the top 2 players on the planet Earth. There's no question about that. But can he stay healthy? That's a question mark. The other question mark is, when is Kyrie going to take off again? He seems to take off when he wants to. One would surmise that that's not going to be the case come playoff time, but it certainly has been the case during the regular season. And the lack of chemistry, the fact that you're only playing 7 games together, it may not impact them in terms of their individual capabilities, but in terms of the chemistry with other teammates that are going to be on the floor with them, particularly on the defensive end of the floor, you've got to be concerned about that with Milwaukee and Philadelphia, obviously making some noise and incredibly formidable themselves. So even though I'm not overly concerned because I've got Brooklyn winning the whole thing, no question about it, that doesn't mean that you completely ignore concerns when you consider the level of competition and the fact that Joel Embiid is back and Milwaukee with the pickup of P.J. Tucker, having Drew Holiday there with Middleton, of course, the Greek Freak and others, they're ready to go as well. So you got to pay attention to the fact that other teams have chemistry and the Brooklyn Nets don't necessarily have that. But again, slight concern because this is lethal weapon 3. No question.
I do think that there is a stat that sort of is exemplary of why it's been so hard for them. The Nets have had 26 different starting lineups. So you mentioned chemistry there, second most in the league. Conversely, you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, the Jazz and the Suns, they've used the fewest starting lineups, and they sit at 1 and 2 respectively in the West. But Stephen A., despite all that, neither's the favorite to represent the conference in the finals. Who do you give the best chance to come out of the West, Jazz or Suns?
I give it to the Jazz, but I have such profound respect for both. These are the 2 teams with the 2 best records in basketball right now, and they deserve a lot of credit. Monty Williams and the job that he and his staff, with Randy is, Willie Green and those boys in Phoenix, have done with CP3 being the floor general that he is and Devin Booker being a rising star in this league and DeAndre Ayton coming along the way that he has. You can't ignore Phoenix. But the Utah Jazz, it is time that we all stand up and give respect where respect is due. Quinn Snyder's doing an exceptional coaching job. Donovan Mitchell has proven to be a star in this league because of what he does in terms of his level of production come playoff time. Just look at last year's playoff series when they lost in 7 games to Denver in the first round. That was a sensational performance by him. Then you take into account the fact that they're top 3, both offensively and defensively. They're the number 2 3-point shooting team in the entire NBA. They are number 1 defending against the 3. They're number 1 defending against the 2. They're number 3 defense overall. They're just the lead on both ends of the floor floor with defense in the interior and on the perimeter. That's why I give them the edge over the Phoenix Suns right now. Plus, they shoot threes like it's going out of style. Can't ignore the Utah Jazz.
We're certainly going to see the best two, or at least the two teams with the best record in the NBA. That the nightcap of a doubleheader tonight. SportsCenter with Stephen A. Smith is coming up. Thank you, Stephen A. At 7 p.m. It'll lead you into the first game of our NBA doubleheader, the Pelicans and the Nets. And again, if you didn't already know, Kevin Durant is finally back. You will see all of that tonight right here on ESPN.
Oh, boy.
More of that, unfortunately. Exactly. We're going to head right back to PTI for their Masters picks ahead of tomorrow's opening round, Kev.
It is happy hour, though, for Nets fans, as Kevin Durant will make his return tonight on ESPN. More on that ahead, but our headlines begin with Tiger Woods here on this Wednesday. According to the L.A. County Sheriff's Office, speed is solely to blame here for the SUV wreck that left Woods with serious leg injuries 6 weeks ago. Woods was driving nearly 90 miles per hour, almost twice the speed limit, and more details coming your way here. Multiple companies are distancing themselves from Deshaun Watson as he faces accusations of sexual assault and inappropriate behavior in 22 civil lawsuits. Nike said today it is suspending its endorsement deal with the Texans quarterback. College hoops, Arizona has fired men's coach Sean Miller. The program has been in the NCAA crosshairs since a 2017 FBI investigation into recruiting practices, and after being charged with 5 Level 1 violations, it self-imposed a 1-year postseason ban this season. Miller had 1 year left on his deal. The total continues to grow for the Vancouver Canucks as they say 21 players now have tested positive for coronavirus. The team was shut down last week. They remain in quarantine, and it's unclear when they'll play again. Elle?
He's back. Kevin Durant has been out for 23 games. Finally back on the floor tonight. Let's walk you through how he got here. He opened the season against his former team. He dropped 22 points in nearly 25 minutes and a 26-point win over the Warriors. And he just kept going from there, playing in 18 of the Nets' first 24 games, averaging nearly 30 points a night. But then, on February 5th, Durant was removed from Brooklyn's game against the Raptors due to contact tracing, subsequently missed the Nets' next 3 games before returning on February 13th. And in his first game back, well, of course, he suffered a hammy injury against the Warriors, an injury that ended up sidelining him for, as I just mentioned, 23 games. But tonight, Durant is expected to return as the Nets take on the Pelicans. It's a game you'll see right here on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern. So let's sort of set the table for that. The Nets have been able to win despite the fact that nearly 72% of their games have been without Kevin Durant this season. With that being said, KD takes Brooklyn's offense to another level when he is out on the floor. We are not here for that "are they better off without him" conversation. No. The team's points per game, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage all take a leap when Durant is in the lineup. NBA reporter Malika Andrews will be part of the broadcast for Pelicans Nets. She's joining us now live. And Malika, we just heard from Nash. What other details have you learned about the plan for Durant tonight?
Well, they're going to be incredibly careful. As you just mentioned, Elle, he missed nearly 24 games, so this isn't something where he's going to come back and be at full strength minutes, Kevin Durant, although Steve Nash declined to say exactly how many minutes he'd play. This is how he plans to use him.
We're not going to send him out there to play 35 minutes tonight, but we'll see how the game goes and figure out what's the best process for him to stay safe first and foremost, to get time and basketball back into his legs in a real environment. But the goal is for him to reincorporate into the team safely, not to get out here and just, free to play as much as he normally does and to put the demands on him that he hopefully will be able to, handle in the near term future, sorry.
Now, Elle, Steve Nash told me that similarly to when Kevin Durant in practice needs to slowly ramp up exactly what he's doing in those sort of situations, it's going to be similar game to game here. So if it goes well tonight, then they'll add a little bit and then add a little bit more. But I saw him out on the court playing, warming up a little bit on Monday. He looked like he was moving incredibly well. And he told me last week he's been away from the floor entirely too long, and he's really looking forward to being back out there with his teammates.
Something else he can look forward to, it'll be the first time he's actually going to play a game at the Barclays with fans in the stands, because that was not permitted the last time he played. We're going to see that game tonight, 7:30 Eastern. Malika Andrews on that call as well, Pelicans and Nets. In fact, here is KD arriving. His first